हेलो एंड वेलकम दोस्तों टू 5 मिनट्स इंजीनियरिंग पॉडकास्ट। दोस्तों, आज के जो हमारे पॉडकास्ट के गेस्ट हैं, कमाल धमाल बेमिसाल टीचर हैं, शिक्षक हैं। और क्या पढ़ाते हैं, क्या फ्लो में पढ़ाते हैं और क्या तरीके से पढ़ाते हैं कि आप देखोगे भैया, इनके यूडीमी पे 1 मिलियन जो लर्नर्स हैं, स्टूडेंट्स हैं, उसका आंकड़ा पार हो चुका है। इनके यूट्यूब चैनल पे, जिसका नाम बड़ा ही मजेदार है, जो अपने चैनल के नाम से भी मिलता है, मिनट्स मिनट्स उसमें इन्वॉल्व है। तो वहां पे भी 1.5 लाख सब्सक्राइबर का आंकड़ा पार हो चुका है। और कुछ ही दिनों में भैया इनके लिंक्डइन प्रोफाइल पे भी 50,000 फॉलोअर्स का जो आंकड़ा है वो भी पार होने वाला है। यहाँ पे हमारे साथ जुड़ चुके हैं फाउंडर ऑफ इन 28 मिनट्स। तो मैं स्वागत करना चाहूंगा हमारे प्यारे सर जी, रंगा सर जी। आपका स्वागत करता हूं इस पॉडकास्ट पर।
Thanks, Lord Sridhar. Really delighted to be here.
जी जी जी। थोड़ा सा कम बोलते हैं, बट आज आज हम उन्हें मजबूर करेंगे बहुत सारी बातें, बहुत सारा खुलासा करने पर। शुरुआती तौर पे मैं आपसे पूछना चाहूंगा एक इंट्रोडक्शन क्वेश्चन की आप कहाँ से हैं, अभी आप कहाँ पे हैं, एंड व्हाट यू आर लाइक, आपके एक्टिव आवर जो है वो कहाँ पे आप इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं फिलहाल तो।
Yeah, sure. My name is Rangarao Karnam,
जी
and my background is completely into programming. So I failed my first Pascal exam like
अच्छा
1998, like 1999 when the India-Pakistan series was going on. Because of
ओके।
that, I failed my Pascal exam. That's where my journey with computers started, with a failure.
हाँ जी जी जी।
And yeah, after that, I focused a lot on programming, learned
हम्म
programming really well. And over the course of my career, I worked with a number of IT services companies,
हम्म
almost all the large IT services companies in India. I have worked with them, and I
हम्म।
got a chance to explore different parts of the world. I lived in US for 5 years. I lived in
ओ
Europe for 5 years,
ओ
and I got a chance to work with several great programmers, great architects. And what I've realized over my journey, my career was there is a need for really good education on the IT side, right? I thought the education, this is like 5 years, like six to 7 years back, right? So I thought, okay, there is a need for quality education, which is affordable.
जी जी
I
जी।
thought I will start something to help people learn easily. And that's where I
हम्म
started the YouTube channel. And
हम्म,
slowly I found Udemy. I
जी
started created content on Spring Boot, Java.
जी
So that's
जी।
kind of our bread and butter. And from
हम्म।
2020, we started getting into the cloud and DevOps areas as well. So
जी।
yeah, that's kind of my background, mostly into IT services, programming,
हम्म
architecture. Those are some of the things I'm really passionate about. And I travel a
जी
lot. I travel
जी जी
as
जी।
much as I can. I want to see as much of the world as I can. So yeah, that's kind of a brief introduction of what I'm doing right now.
जी 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 जी। अरे बाप रे, आप तो बहुत सारी जगह घूमे हैं और साथ ही साथ बहुत ही टेक डोमेन्स में भी आपका जो है, लाइक आपका एक टच रहा है, वहां पे आपने सिखाया बहुत सारी चीजें। बट फिर भी एक चीज, एक दिमाग में सवाल उठता है सर जी, इन 28 मिनट्स ये क्या है? इन 28 मिनट्स क्या, और ये नाम ही क्यों रखा आपने चैनल
Absolutely right. So that's one of the most frequently asked questions for me. Kyun in 28 minutes? Why not 30
का?
minutes or 40 minutes? So the story goes something like this, right? So I'm like during my career, I found that the best people in the industry, right? So if you talk about the top 1 percentile of people in the industry, they keep learning every day. For them,
हम्म
learning is not something which I will plan, postpone. No, learning is something which
हम्म।
happens every day on the job,
जी
right? So
जी
you are learning technology every day. It's not like I have 8 hours of job and 2 hours of learning. It's like as part of my job, I keep learning. Learning is part of your
हम्म
job, right? So you have to continuously learn because like if you look at my career, right? When I
हम्म
started off building applications, there was nothing called full stack application. There was nothing called
हम्म
cloud, but there was nothing called DevOps, right? So a
हम्म,
lot of things changed in these 20 years. And I'm sure
जी
in the next 20 years, there'll be a lot more changes as well. And
जी।
so if we are in the technology world, you have to change. You have to keep
हम्म
learning. And
हम्म
that's kind of the thing where I started. Okay, you have to learn for 30 minutes every day. So I was searching for a
हम्म।
domain name in 30 minutes.
ओके।
Unfortunately, I was not able to get in 30 minutes. And I also wanted the social media profiles and everything.
या
So I kept searching, and the nearest one I found was in 28 minutes. So it basically kind of represents the fact that you have to learn every day. In the tech
ओके।
world, if you want to be relevant, if you want to get to the top, if you want to achieve your goals, you have to keep
हम्म।
learning.
एग्जैक्टली एग्जैक्टली, आई ऑल्सो थिंक सर, ऐसा मुझे लगता है कि जो एवरीडे वाला फंडा है वो एक कंसिस्टेंसी वाला फंडा हो जाता है, कि आपको लगातार करते रहना है ताकि वो आपके माइंड में फ्रेश रहे। ऐसा नहीं कि आप एक साल बाद वो चीज पढ़ रहे हो, देन यू आर लॉस्ट इन लाइक सम परसेंटेज ऑफ डेटा रिगार्डिंग दैट डोमेन और लाइक नॉलेज। तो वो सही बात है। और 28 मिनट्स मतलब आप 24 घंटे में से कम 28 मिनट तो दीजिए सीखने के लिए, ज्यादा नहीं बट सीखने के लिए कम से कम पोर्शन ऑफ डे तो भी आप दीजिए, ताकि वो ऑब्वियसली वो छोटी छोटी नॉलेज रहता है जो कि बहुत बड़ा डिफरेंस क्रिएट करता है आपके ही जो करियर में आप कह सकते हो। सर जी, जैसे आपने बताया कि आपने टीचिंग शुरू किया बहुत पहले, जब ये सारी चीजें नहीं थी जो अभी अभी आपने टेक जो डोमेन्स के नाम लिए, टेक्नोलॉजीज के नाम लिए, तो ज्यादा कुछ उसमें एग्जिस्टिंग नहीं था। तो आपने वो पढ़ाना शुरू किया, और जब वो दौर था तो मैं जानता था वो समय ऐसा था सर कि पीपल यूज टू सी टीचिंग एज द लास्ट जॉब। अगर भाई मुझसे कुछ नहीं हुआ तो मैं फिर टीचिंग करेगा। एंड एट दैट मोमेंट टू टेक दिस डिसीजन दैट आई विल बी डूइंग टीचिंग इज अ बिग डिसीजन। तो मुझे ये जानना है सर कि कैसे वो आपने टीचिंग का डिसीजन लिया, क्या हुआ, क्या कोई इवेंट हुआ और समवन सेड समथिंग दैट हाउ द टीचिंग केम इनटू योर लाइफ?
Right. So it's like teaching is something during my IT services career, right? So teaching was something which I used to do every day. So as part of, like, I was doing multiple roles: programmer, designer, architect. And as part of my day job, I have to actually train people to write really good code, right? It's not sufficient if it's working code. It has to be really, really good code. And therefore, I was really like involved in teaching people from day one, right? So whenever I architect a new application, I need to explain the architecture of the application to everybody in the team. I need to ensure that everybody in the team adheres to the architecture, writes really, really good code. So it was a practice for me to create training materials starting from like early in my career. So we used to create good documentation, good everything. And we used to conduct training sessions in-house. And that's where it started. That's where I discovered that I had something in me to make things really, really simple, right? If today I meet a lot of people who I actually like taught during my career, they all tell me, Ranga, it's very good what you're doing. Whatever you were doing at the minute level earlier, it's like, for me, it's not any different. Whatever I was doing inside the project earlier, today I'm doing it openly outside, helping all the others, right? It's the elements remain the same. How do you make complex things simple? How do you understand the perspective of the learner? Always, like, there is some, like, for example, I'm explaining Kubernetes. It's not about what Kubernetes is. It's about what a learner needs to learn about Kubernetes, what he needs to understand, right? So it's all about making a complex topic really, really simple so that they can understand it really, really well. So yeah, that's where my journey started. I saw that I have that innate ability to make things simple. And I started with YouTube. And then like I found YouTube income is not sufficient to lead a complete life just on YouTube. So that's where I was searching for a platform, right? So something which can enable me to go full time with teaching, because I saw that there is a lot of value that we are delivering. Somebody watches the video, like, for example, even on Udemy today, right? So somebody pays 500 rupees or 600 rupees, but the value they get back in return is huge. It's the best education there is in the world, right? So I saw that value potential of online learning is very, very high. And I also saw that online learning is scalable, because there is no limit to how many students can watch my course and learn today, right? So we have really, really good team to support the people, and there is no limit to where we can scale up to. And I thought, okay, that's the best approach, because whatever knowledge I have, whatever I had in me, I want as many people to learn from it as possible. And I found e-learning to be the best mode for that.
जी, आपकी टीचिंग का रहस्य तो हमने जान लिया सर जी। अब मैं ये रहस्य एक और खोलना चाहूंगा कि जैसा आप अभी दिख रहे हैं, अगर यहाँ के थोड़े सफेद बाल छोड़ दे तो बाकी जो मुखड़ा है, बाकी जो चेहरा है उस पे इतनी जो चमक अभी भी बनी हुई है, ऐसे लग रहा है कि आप एक यंगस्टर है, लाइक 20s 30s की एज। बट फिलहाल तो वैसे आपकी एज क्या है?
My age is more than 40.
मोर देन? ओ माय गॉड, आई वाज लाइक गेसिंग इट 30 लाइक 36 के आसपास होगी। तो सर इसका रहस्य क्या, राज क्या, बताइए आप क्या करते हैं? आप कौन सा च्यवनप्राश या कौन सी एक्सरसाइज करते हैं जिसकी वजह से आपका ये जो सौंदर्य ये बना हुआ है?
Wow. Okay. I think it's mostly to do with physical activity. So I get involved in some kind of physical activity, not gym, but I do like I walk regularly. I play cricket regularly. I play tennis. So it's more about, like, I trek very, very often. So every year I take 3 weeks or 4 weeks off. and I just go on a trek, a Annapurna mountain trek or Mount Everest base camp trek.
Mm-hmm.
So I keep trekking very, very often. So I think those are the important parts. Other than that, I think food. I'm not a foodie. Like I eat food to live. So that's easy. My wife complains, obviously, that I don't appreciate food as much. But yeah, that's kind of the story. And also another thing is the fact that I love what I do. Right? The fact that whatever work I'm doing is not something which somebody's forced on me. Throughout the career, I had the flexibility to choose what I want to work on. And that, I think, plays a crucial role. So I think it's a mix of factors, but only God knows the answer.
But I think all the 3 pointers are having an equal distribution in however you are looking at this particular 40 plus age. Sir, अभी आपने एक जिक्र किया थर्ड पॉइंट का, बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट था कि what I love, I'm doing that. But was there any phase in your life when this statement was not true? जब आप जो है ऐसा काम कर रहे थे जिसमें आप खुश नहीं थे, आपको फोर्स किया जा रहा था. What was that experience? I really want to know.
Absolutely, Sridhar. I think that's something which everybody faces, right? So you want to do something, but you have to do something to ensure that your family, there are people who are dependent on you. It's not just you.
Exactly.
Right? Exactly. So you should always be ready to put in the hard work that is needed to reach the state where you are. Right? Yes. So I wanted to be an online teacher, for example, right? I want to be in e-learning. However, I cannot go directly into e-learning without a full-time income from e-learning, right? So this was what my passion was. What I did was every day I used to wake up at 6 o'clock and until 11 o'clock, I used to create videos, and 11 to 11 was my day job, right? So that was my routine for 3 years while I built sufficient income to quit my job. So I quit my job when my income from online courses was equal to my job income, right? Even before that, right? So even before that, for example, in India, like if you look at it, if you are an architect, you are paid a lot more. If you are a programmer, you will pay very, very less, right? And architects in India are not expected to code. At least this was the thought process 10 years back, right? When I was an architect, it was more like, okay, you are expected to deliver a document. There was no agile or DevOps. It was like, you need to write 100-page document explaining the architecture, but you don't get to be hands-on, right? But my passion was always hands-on. I wanted to write code. I want to be in touch with code. So I always found opportunities, even when I was an architect, to be hands-on, to keep my, because that's what I loved. I like architecture because it gives me money, but I like coding, programming a lot more. So I found ways to actually do that, right? So what I did was, for example, I was doing roles where I have 50% as a programmer in one project and 50% as an architect in one project. Okay. So it was like, you have to be flexible. You have to extend yourself a little. And that's how your passion comes out, right? It's not just that, life is not something where everything will be perfect. Exactly. It's about you to make the choices and make sure that the choices work for you, right? You need to work hard for a period before you'll be able to do your passion full time. And another thing I strictly believe in is passion is overrated a lot of times. Actually, what matters is expertise. What I saw is I have a passion for programming because I'm an expert at programming. Right. So if you become an expert, if you work really, really hard and become an expert, you understand the nuances of something, then you will automatically develop a passion towards it. So it's about how much expertise you have, which dictates how much passion, because passion itself does not get you anywhere. Passion with expertise. If I'm saying I'm going to shoot a movie, right, I have to be shooting something like a Bahubali or something really, really good. I should have the expertise to deliver that. Right? If you have the expertise, then passion will be really, really useful. I believe in passion, but when it's combined with expertise, you need to have the right expertise. You need to work towards it. And then passion really, really helps.
सही कहा आपने. वो एक्सपर्टीज होल्ड करना, प्रैक्टिस करना इन 28 मिनट्स का बहुत बड़ा रोल है. रोजाना जो है प्रैक्टिस करना, एक्सपर्टीज हासिल करने के लिए, वो तो है सर. लेकिन एक और चीज मैं आपसे पूछना चाहूंगा सर कि ड्यूरिंग द जर्नी थ्रू आउट टिल दिस पॉइंट, कई बार आपके दिमाग में खुद के प्रति सेल्फ डाउट आया होगा कि am I really worth it? Can I do it? Some questions like this which make a very big question mark on the self-worth. So was there any situation or events that you can share with us जहां पे आपको self doubt जो है महसूस हुआ?
Absolutely. A lot of times, right? So, for example, I passed out in the year 2002. That year, like usually almost 70% of our college students are placed like in campus. Our year, only about 10% were placed, and I had an arrear because I had the Pascal exam, which I failed. So because of that, I was not able to get into my dream company, which was Infosys at that particular point in time. And no other company was also interested because of the like 9/11 thing. And yeah, that's where it starts, right? Every time you want something, you think something will be easy, you will face a difficulty. That's normal. And yeah, you need to find a way of getting through. There is no one answer of how you can get through such kind of situations. For me, the great thing was I had a good community. So I had a lot of friends of mine. Like we used to every day go play cricket in the evening. And now I recollect back, I think that's the best phase, right? The toughest phase where I was actually searching for the job is now my happiest phase when I recollect back, because every day for 3 hours we used to get together, all my friends, we used to play cricket. And once I joined the job, everything changed again. You get into the job and things like that. And those kind of things happen regularly. It's not just one time thing, right? Whenever you'd want to switch something, you want to change something, there will always be a struggle, right? You need to, there's no one solution. The only thing I would say is make sure that you're putting efforts in such a way that today you are in a better state than yesterday. Tomorrow you should be in a better state than today. That's it. As long as there are minor improvements. So they say this, right? 1% of improvement every day in a year is almost 400% improvement, because this is exponential, right? I mean, this is not 400%. It's like maybe off the scale improvement. So it's all about, I believe this a lot. So you don't know what you can do in a month, but if you can consistently do something over a year or a couple of years, the growth you get is off the scale.
सही बात है। और जो आपने बताई वो मैं रिलेट भी कर पा रहा हूँ कि छोटे छोटे इंप्रूवमेंट जरूरी होते हैं और उससे एक आपको बड़ा रिजल्ट जरूर मिलता है। और सर जी एक और चीज मैं जानना चाहूंगा कि अभी तक का देखिए सर, फैन तो आपके बहुत होंगे, स्टूडेंट्स आपके बहुत होंगे, लेकिन एक ऐसा वाकया जो आपका एक फैन मूवमेंट कहते हैं ना, जो आपको अभी तक याद है, या फिर ऐसा कोई कमेंट किसी का आ गया होगा आपको आपके कोर्स के ऊपर, वीडियो के ऊपर, जिसने आपका दिन बना दिया, आपको एकदम खुश कर दिया और आप जो काम कर रहे हो उसके ऊपर आपको प्राउड करने पे मजबूर कर दिया, ऐसी कुछ चीज आप शेयर करना चाहोगे?
Yeah, sure. Like a lot of times these days, I just go out to a mall or I go to a hotel and people say, okay, I've watched your video and it has changed my career, right? I've like a lot of people come to me and say, I started with Java. I learned Spring Boot. Today I'm learning a cloud, AWS, Azure, Google Cloud with you, right? So they're saying their entire career they have been learning with me. And those kind of moments actually validate, because, I mean, whatever said and done, course creation is a solitary job, right? I am in my studio recording content alone the entire day. And all the reviews which come online, right? We get like every day we get around 1,000, 2,000 reviews, but those are all online. There's no direct connect. But when the direct connect happens, right? So, for example, I was at a Google Cloud conference, and that's where a lot of influencers were brought in, right? So that's where we went to. And there to be like out of 5 people, almost one of them is able to recognize me as somebody who's an expert on Google Cloud, right? So those kind of moments matter a lot, because that's when you know the impact you're causing, right? I mean, 1 million seems big number, but we can't visualize it, right? It's like somewhere it's a number, nothing more. But when you really see that on the ground, when you interact with those people, interact with them and see the difference we are making, right? Yeah, that's when it really tells you, okay, Ranga, you have done really, really well. You are doing something good. Online is good, but the direct feedback I get back, I think nothing can beat that.
जी, नहीं, बिल्कुल सही कहा आपने कि जो आमने सामने का जो ये एक इंटरेक्शन होता है उन स्टूडेंट्स के साथ जिनके लाइफ में आपने इम्पैक्ट क्रिएट किया है, बहुत अच्छा लगता है। और वो फिर आपको पूछते हैं थोड़ा सा धीरे से, सर एक सेल्फी ले सकते हैं? तो फिर हम तो मना भी नहीं करते, हम बोले भैया आ जाओ यहाँ पे खींच लो, फोटो खींच लो, हमें भी बढ़िया लगता है एक तरीके से।
My wife keeps complaining because I don't take selfies at all usually, and now whenever I go back and come back from a conference, there'll be selfies in LinkedIn. So when I show them to her, she says, you are not taking selfies with me, but you are taking selfies with everybody.
बिल्कुल सही है, भाभी जी बिल्कुल सही कह रही है। आप खींचिए उनके साथ फोटो, ऐसा क्यों कर रहे हैं आप, नाराज मत कीजिए। बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। तो सर अभी अभी मैं जानना चाहूंगा कि लाइक अ सिंपल जेन्युइन क्वेश्चन, अगर आप टेक इंडस्ट्री में नहीं होते, जो आप टेक इंडस्ट्री में हैं, आप सिखा रहे हैं, उस इंडस्ट्री में नहीं होते, इफ अ गिवन ऑप्शन, एक ऑप्शन अगर आपको दिया जाए, व्हाट वुड बी दैट अदर थिंग यू वुड बी डूइंग अदर देन दिस टेक?
Very, very difficult question. I don't know actually an answer because from my childhood, I wanted to be a computer engineer. So if you
ओ,
ask me in my like fifth class or sixth class, what you wanted
ओ,
to be, it was always a computer engineer. From the
अरे,
time I first saw the computer, I was always fascinated towards it. I felt
हम्म,
that's where I want to be. Now,
हम्म,
today, having explored everything, if you give me the option of choosing a job, I
या
would want to
या
be a trekking guide or something like that. So,
या
something which helps me to be physical. Maybe, uh, yeah, a wakeboarding coach. Like
ओके।
something which helps me to be doing physically something every day.
हाँ, दिस इज वेरी रेयर सर जी, मतलब जो अभी आप बता रहे हैं ना, ट्रैकिंग, आउटसाइड गोइंग, फिजिकली गेटिंग फिट, ये टेकीज में थोड़ा कम मिलता है, मतलब देखने को नहीं मिलता। दे यूज लाइक सिट ऑन वन प्लेस एंड डू द लाइक रिकॉर्डिंग और कोडिंग और प्रोग्रामिंग फॉर आवर्स एंड आवर एंड, बट ये थोड़ा सा रेयर पॉइंट है। और अच्छी बात है कि चाहे आप प्रोग्रामर हो, कोड लिख रहे हो, आप घंटों बैठ रहे हो, लेकिन दिन में भैया 28 मिनट्स तो दो एक्सरसाइज के लिए। मैं ये छोड़ूंगा
Absolutely.
नहीं सर, 28 मिनट्स ही छोड़ूंगा मैं। एक और बहुत बड़ा कॉमन पॉइंट है, सर जी कहते हैं 28 मिनट्स, मैं तो सिर्फ 5 मिनट कह रहा हूँ। मैं सिर्फ 5 मिनट्स कह रहा हूँ। एंड या सर ने भी चैनल देखा है 5 मिनट्स इंजीनियरिंग। तो सर मैं जानना चाहूंगा कि आपका जब आपने चैनल देखा, आपने जब कंटेंट देखा, तो व्हाट वाज योर फर्स्ट रिस्पॉन्स टू इट? आई रियली, मैं उत्सुक हूँ जानने के लिए, आपका भी फीडबैक लेने के लिए, कि आपको क्या लगा।
No, I mean, lovely, right? So the amount of work you are putting in to do the content in Hindi, right? That's
हम्म,
the number one thing I really, really am proud about, right? The fact that,
हम्म,
uh, because getting quality education today is so tough. The
जी,
problem today is there is so much content, but quality content is very, very less, right? I
जी,
see
जी,
that
जी,
you are focusing on the exact thing to explain on
जी,
what,
जी,
like on, and also on difficult things, right? AI,
हम्म,
ML, data,
ML,
these are not easy. Like a lot of times I
हम्म,
tell people, you can learn programming. Let's say it's like cloud, I would say it's really, really easy, right? If you want to learn cloud,
हम्म,
probably it's 10 out of 100 difficulty. Programming is 25, 30 out of 100.
हाँ,
AI, ML for me is like 70 out of 100, right?
ओ,
So that's how
ओ,
difficult it is to be really,
हम्म,
really good at AI, ML. And the fact
हम्म,
that you are actually trying to make that simple in
जी,
a regional language,
जी,
uh,
जी, जी।
that's amazing stuff. I'm really, really proud of what you're doing, Sridhar.
धन्यवाद सर जी, देखिए अप्रिसिएशन मिल गया है रंगा सर जी से, और क्या चाहिए हमें जिंदगी में। और थैंक्स अलॉट फॉर दोज वर्ड्स। एंड ये सर एक मोटिवेशन है हमारे लिए भी, कि जब ऐसा अप्रिसिएशन किसी भी टीचर को मिलता है सर, किसी भी एजुकेटर को मिलता है, तो वो कहता है कि नहीं भाई, आज तो मैं और 2 वीडियो एक्स्ट्रा बनाऊंगा, लेकिन मैं डिलीवर करूंगा इस तरीके से।